In this video, we're going to do a few extra examples on solving inequalities. And I'm going to start with these interval notation ones that I left. Maybe I'll do them in a different color. So in this first one, the interval goes from 1 to 5, where 1 is included and 5 is not included. Okay, so this means include, and this means not include. So from 1, it's going to be filled in, and at 5, it's going to be open. And then we take everything in between those two. Okay, so that's what that one would look like. For this one, the last one down here, so we include -3, but we're going all the way to negative infinity. So I'm going to have a dot for -3, and then I take everything that's less than or equal to that value. Okay, so including the -3 value. So that's what those would look like. Okay, so we think we just had a couple of compound inequalities to solve here. Okay, so here's our first one, and we want to write our answerable interval notation, so we want to remember that at the end. So I have 1/3 is less than or equal to x plus 1 over -2, which is less than or equal to 2/3. So the first thing that I'm going to do is multiply everything by -2. Okay, that's all sides. So to cancel off this -2 in the middle, because remember we're trying to solve for x in the middle here. So I'm going to do that. Now when I multiply by a negative, remember to flip the inequalities, okay? And we're going to have to flip all of them. So I have 2 here, so I have to flip both. So I'm going to have -2/3, and then I have an x plus 1, and then I have a -4/3 when I multiply by 2. And the inequalities have to go now this way, okay? So instead of less than or equal, I now have greater than or equal. And it's also helpful to notice that this term is actually bigger than this term, so that actually still makes sense. Okay, so they're going in the opposite order. Now I want to subtract 1 from all sides to get x by itself. Okay, so -2/3 minus 1 is going to be -5/3 because 1 is 3/3. So this is bigger than or equal to x, which is bigger than or equal to -4/3 minus 1 is going to be -7/3. Okay, so x is between -5/3 and -7/3. Now, just to note here, this is the smallest one. Okay, the smallest number, this is the bigger number. Okay, so when we write in interval notation, we want to write them in the other order. So in interval notation, I'm going from -7/3 all the way to -5/3. And I'm including both endpoints because of the equality on both. Okay, so that is our answer here. Let's just put it in a box. Okay, so now we have another one. So again, I want to solve for x in the middle here. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the 2. So subtract 2 everywhere. Okay, that's going to give me 14 is bigger than or equal to -7x, which is bigger than or equal to -21. Okay, now I want to divide everything by -7. Okay, when I do, so that's going to cancel. Now when I do that, I have to remember to flip the signs. So 14 divided by -7 is -2, is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to -21 divided by -7 is +3. Okay, let me just write here. Oops. Okay, so we flipped both of them because we divided by a negative. So we want all the solutions here, all x's between -2 and 3. Okay, so in interval notation, our solution is going to be from -2 and including -2 all the way to 3 and including 3. Okay, so that's our solution in interval notation. So that's solving inequalities.